Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Stinson. I will be talking to you today about my disability. I am a left leg amputee twice, and I am an aerialist, a kickboxing instructor, and fitness enthusiast.
Great. So we can just start off by a general definition. We all have different definitions of what things mean. How would you define disability?
I don't love the word disability because I think of, if you think of anything that's disabled, like your vehicle on the side of the road, it's, not useful, it's stuck, it's needing a lot of help. And most people with disabilities, whether they're physical, mental, psychological, emotional, whatever, people are very capable. So when I think of disability, I like to just define it as somebody that might need more help and maybe special needs in a certain way, that you're different but special.
You mentioned bringing up different things between physical, mental, anything really for disabilities. Do you think that there's really a difference when it comes to someone who's born disabled or maybe someone who later in life loses a limb or anything, any other way becoming disabled?
That's a question that I really do get asked a lot. Everyone's always like, "Do you feel like it's better that you were born that way?" Or, and it's a double-edged sword. I think it's more of how the person kind of decides to then live their life. I always say I wish I had like a super cool story, like, yeah, I was like swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, or I saved this woman from underneath a burning vehicle, and I don't. I was just born that way, so I don't know what it was like. I don't know what it's like to have, two legs. But then I also think about it, a little bit more seriously, like, if I was in a tragedy, not only do I then have a physical disability, but the emotional trauma of going through something like that, it must be really difficult. I wouldn't say that I have it easier because I was born this way and I don't know any better. They say ignorance is bliss. I would love to know what it's like to or experience certain things, having both legs, but I don't think I don't think there's a right answer. I think that it's how you then look at your life. If you went through an accident where you used to have all your limbs and now you don't, are you choosing to say, I'm going to better my life with what I have, or are you choosing to sit there and dwell on, what your life used to be? So I think that it's really the way that the person deals with it. If you were to ask me personally, I think that the cards that I were handed, just being born that way and just not having all of, my left side not developing properly, I think I have it pretty good. I was forced to then adjust my whole life. I don't really know what it's like to have two legs, and for me, it just works. But I really think that there's no way to say, I have it easier than somebody who is in an accident. I just think it's the way that you carry yourself in the future.
I think that you just put it so wonderfully. And since, as you said, this is how you were born and not the way you became, something that we all have to deal with, the stresses of just fitting growing up. And if so, when did you realize that, hey, I think I'm a little bit different than everybody else?
I think I always knew that I was different. I mean, like, even as a kid, like, just like learning regular things, like sitting on the ABC carpet, sitting Indian style, you always had to do that, and that would kind of make me feel awkward and like out of place. Like I was socially unaccepted. Like I always feel like I had a good group of friends and a nice support system and all that. But yeah, I mean, you feel different. I've always felt different. Like I said, from simple things to sitting on the ABC carpet, walking. Like my experience learning how to walk was so not like anybody else's. I always feel different. Even now, even being comfortable in my own skin, finally, I always feel different. There's things, everyday things that just make me feel different. Walking up the stairs, coming into my apartment, one foot at a time takes me longer than you. Like there's always things that are going to make you feel different. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but I think when it comes to fitting in, I kind of just always found a way to stay positive and social with my peers, and so it never really hindered me. I don't ever remember being bullied. There was one time someone had said something to me when like AOL was able to like tell me that I was the girl with one leg, and did it hurt my feelings? Yeah, but I'm here to tell the story, so it is what it is, and kind of just have to roll with the punches. I'm different. I know I'm different. I always feel different. I think for anybody that has a disability, it's how do you use that difference? Do you use it to your advantage, or do you let it kind of eat you away?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, using it to your advantage and not kind of letting it get the best of you. Do you ever feel stereotyped or discriminated against?
Personally, no. Like I said, it hasn't really been anything super negative. Discrimination, I feel like, comes in many different forms. I can just tell you like a brief story. I was pulled over for speeding one time. The police officer was, came to my window and, he was just doing, the normal, why I stopped you. And I was like, yeah, I was speeding. I'm sorry. He happened to, like, in conversation, notice that I had a handicap placard hanging in, the mirror or in the, windshield. And he's like, by the way, ma'am or miss, why do you have that hanging there? Like, are you even disabled? And I was just like so taken aback. No one has ever said that to me before, and it was totally irrelevant to the situation. And I just looked at him and I was like, yeah, I am. I actually wear a prosthesis. I'm missing my left leg. And I just feel like, in a way, like that was kind of discriminatory. Like, it's not really your right to ask me why I have something that says that I'm disabled. Like, are you questioning my disability? But I've never been like pinpointed out. I've never felt really like discriminated against. But I just think that that's the environment that I'm into. The way I carry myself, I think, has something to do with it. But I grew up in a very small town. I have a very tight knit family, and I just feel like the people around me are very supportive.
You're so extremely active and accomplished in so many different things. What has helped you get past your disability and make you decide, like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a kickboxer. I'm going to train people. I'm going to try aerial.
I can really relate, like, my big aha moment to when I started working for the kickboxing gym that I currently work for. I was doing sales there, and my boss had asked me, kind of lead class, and he was like, well, if you're going to sell this, you need to do it. And, so I was super scared. For the first time, he kind of made me feel like you are totally capable of learning this. So he kind of like kept me after and was like, all right, let's go over some of your form. And it kind of was empowering for me to feel like, wow, like I can do this. Kickboxing and hitting the bag is like, empowering to begin with. And then for me to be like, wow, my body can actually do this. Like I can teach myself and train to do this. But that was like my big moment of like, all right, let me kind of build on this. And one day I happened to get stuck teaching a class and then people just gave me really good feedback. So that kind of made me feel like not only am I good at this, but like I can show other people that they can be good at this too. So that was like kind of the moment that I was like, I think I want to be active. I think I want to challenge my body. I think I want to push myself to the next level. Because when I was struggling with my identity a lot, it was always a physical thing for me. I'm not capable of running. I can't run, or I'm not good at running, or I'm not good at sports, and I always just kind of put myself down. So this was the first time that I was really like, I think I can.
Especially sounds like your instructor and the owner of the CKO gym really helped with kind of that turning point. Who else would you say is your support system?
I am very lucky. I have a very big support system. I think my family, my friends, my community at the gym is great. My aerial instructor, Keepoli, is amazing. My mom behind me, my dad behind me. I met my boyfriend when I was a freshman in high school. So he's always been there for me, and I'm lucky I didn't have to kind of go through that awkward dating thing.
You have so many supportive people around you. Now, we were talking before about the different types of disabilities, and yours is physical disability, but do you ever compare yourself to people who have other disabilities?
I try to not do too many comparisons because that was my major downfall, as a young adult, a young teenager, was the comparisons. And I always compared myself to people without disabilities. So I wanted to look exactly like the girl in the catalog, exactly like, the movie star that I saw on TV, exactly like my friends. I wanted to literally be like everyone else, like, the norm, and as I got older, I kind of accepted my difference. And now, I mean, I would say I compare myself to other amputees in a really good way. I mean, I don't really compare myself to people with disabilities as a whole because everybody is really so different. But the amputee community, I kind of like to look at them as, what do they have to offer? Like what kind of hardware are they wearing? Like the new technology with the, the feet and the knees, and with the Boston Marathon being the other day, I saw this woman on Twitter, and she was fabulous. She had one leg, and she ran the marathon, which God knows I don't know if I could ever do. Maybe that's another goal for me. I don't know. But I was just looking at her, like, not in comparison, like, what does she have that I don't, but more like, wow, like, she's super empowering, and she's super, like, motivating for me. So I don't like to ever make comparisons with anybody. I tell this to all my clients too. The only person you can compare yourself to is the person that you are, and the person that you were yesterday. Just get better every single day. So I don't like to do comparisons in terms of like abilities and all that, but in terms of hardware and equipment, definitely, because I always like to know what's new, what's out there, what can I get my hands on.
I think that's a really interesting take on it, especially how, you kind of are comparing yourself, but more of the empowering way, like what, they can offer you and motivate you towards. But I mean, you really motivate so many other people. And I mean, I'm inspired when I look on your Facebook or look at your blog or anything. So, what do you think it is most about your disability that helps to inspire
I think
others?
it's the fact. First of all, I think it's the attitude and the way I carry myself, because just from what I get, like when people meet me at the gym, like new people coming in, is that they don't know that I really have a disability. Most people think that I hurt my knee or something like that. So I think the way that I carry myself with this like kind of positivity, like I'm gonna just do me and just do my best is a big factor. But I also think that when people realize that I am disabled, that disabled, that I don't have my left leg to use, that I use a prosthesis, they feel like, wow, she's disadvantaged. I really do. I think that's like the first thing that pops into their head. And it's like, if she can make time for herself and to better herself physically, mentally, emotionally, I can do it too. I think a lot of people, tend to feel sorry for themselves, whether it be, that they don't have enough time for themselves or, enough money or whatever it is. People tend to always think of like reasons that they can't do things that they want to do. People try to make excuses for their goals. Everybody does it. Like I do it. It's a very innate thing in the human nature. But when they see me kind of, at a disadvantage, overcoming and just kind of putting myself out there, I just feel like it comes off as like one of those aha moments for them where they're like, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it. And I've had people say that to me, oh my God, if you're doing it, I can do it. And that doesn't make me feel bad. It actually makes me feel good, because if I can motivate somebody to do something that they wanted to do, it works in my books.
Before we talked about how you, had difficulty identifying yourself. Do you identify with, a disabled culture, or are there any other cultures that you feel that you identify with?
I actually tried to incorporate myself in this like social media community for other amputees, and other cultures. I mean, I'm not like super Italian or super Irish or anything, so I don't know if it falls into that category. But I did. I tried to kind of reach out to other amputees, because it would be nice for me to see other young amputees and kind of how what their story is. But this social media network, whatever it was, wasn't super protected, and there was a lot of what they call devotees, DEVOTEES. So they're basically people that are obsessed with people that are missing limbs,
Okay.
and they try to ask you on like weird dates, and it's just very stuff kind of with that community. But it's something that I'm definitely looking into. I would love to be a part of a community of people that are either in the process of going through an amputation or are physically disabled, kind of in any way. Just to talk about struggles and different things like that. It's always good to have a support system of people that are that have something relative to you.
If you were to meet a child who had a similar disability as you, what would you tell them?
I think the number one thing I would say is that they should just go for whatever it is that they have in mind, their goals, their dreams, their desires. If you're born or given, you're handed the cards that you have a disability, physical, mental, whatever, that comes secondary. You're an individual first. So I would basically tell them to go out there and shoot for the stars. Whatever it is that you want to do, go out and get it. There's always going to be a way that you can do that. So whether it be something, like getting into a school or, learning how to scuba dive, I don't know, go horseback riding, meet new friends, whatever it is, go for that first. If your disability somehow hinders you in any way, there's always a way to modify and to work it out. So I would just say, go at it full force. Don't give up on your dreams, and just literally, like, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice, and I love how you say you're an individual. But when it comes to not more of the physical, but maybe more of the mental side of it, have you ever received counseling before?
I have not received counseling. I don't know if it's because I wasn't offered it or just because I felt like I didn't need it. But I do think it would be or would have been helpful at one point in my life. Like you said, identity and feeling different and trying to fit in. I think it would have been helpful to maybe connect with somebody, just to kind of make me feel like, it's okay to be different. I think that a journey with somebody else kind of like talking me through it might have been helpful when I was younger. Um, I kind of found myself as I got older. Um, but, counseling, I think, kind of needs to come from the individual. You need to be willing to be counseled as well. And I don't know, I kind of feel like as a kid going through that, identity crisis, I don't know if I would have been up for counseling. I think maybe at the time I would have felt like I was, that I'm okay the way that I am. But I definitely think that counseling for people like myself, for young individuals with disabilities, is super important. And I think it should kind of be out there a little bit more. I didn't really ever, no one ever said to me, there are counselors that can kind of help you. No one ever really offered that, especially because I'm not a trauma patient.
I think you brought up a lot of good points. A lot of times we hear about, maybe advocacy for maybe individuals who are disabled for receiving counseling in different settings or within the community. And also how you said you have to be willing as an individual to want to receive. As an adult now, what would you look for in a counselor?
If I was seeking out counseling, I would probably look for somebody that's similar to kind of like my support system, people that I have in my life now. I would want somebody that could kind of listen to me and guide me. I'm not somebody that would really want answers. I feel like in counseling, it's hard to tell somebody, this is exactly what you should or should not do. Mm-hmm. So it would kind of just be like a different support system, a different environment where I could kind of go and talk to somebody and, see an outsider's view. Sometimes it would be nice to have somebody that's a total, unbiased and can kind of just give you some insight. That's kind of what I think I would.
And do you think that there's anything else that would be beneficial for counselors to know if they're working with individuals who are disabled?
I think the number one thing to take note of as a counselor is that the person you're working with is an individual before they are an individual with a disability. So everybody is different, obviously, but sometimes it's not the disability that's the big elephant in the room. That's the big issue. Sometimes it's more about just getting to know that person as an individual. There could be other underlying factors. You're working with people with intellectual disabilities, which I used to do. I used to work with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And some of their behaviors and their biggest problems, quote unquote, really didn't have much to do with the disability. Like, yes, the individual might have had autism or, might be, on the spectrum, whatever. It's sometimes, you look at them as, oh, well, they're an individual with a disability. They have a disability. No, they're an individual and they also have a disability. And I feel like it goes both ways for people, physically, mentally. Just get to know your client first and then kind of take the disability into account.
I like how you keep bringing up the fact that the person is an individual first, and then it's someone who has a disability. But, the individual is the most important part. You have your background from your undergrad in psych. Did you ever think about counseling, any clients, whether disabled or not, but just continuing that and becoming a counselor?
I think I want to go more in the direction of motivational speaking, to just kind of reach out to a bunch of different communities. I would love to do high school students and veterans. That's like a group that I would really like to target, or the vets coming home from the war, that have suffered trauma. But in terms of counseling, I don't know. I mean, it's an awesome. I don't know if I would necessarily want that patient-client relationship, if that makes sense. I kind of like to come more from that standpoint, that I can connect to you from being an individual that has been through it, not so much that formal client-patient relationship. But you never know.
You really would be a great motivational speaker, but do you have any other advice for us as future counselors? Anything you'd like to tell us, or anything else you think we should know about you or anyone else that might be, a disabled individual seeking counseling?
I think the number one thing to remember is that you're doing this, number one, because you enjoy it, and number two, because you're a special group of individuals that want to help people. That it takes a very special group of people like yourselves to kind of literally throw yourselves out there and be like, we're here to help you, because everyone always wants to fix. And sometimes it's, it's not about fixing, you just can't fix everybody's lives. So would say maybe be true to yourselves and, remember that you're in this to really give your insight and to help other people. That would be like my little tidbit of, advice, but I'm not an expert. You guys are, or soon will be. Anything about myself. If you want to follow my blog, that would be amazing. It's amputeearealist.blogspot.com. I'm sure it will be in the presentation, maybe.
Definitely.
But you can follow it. I post on, it will, yay. I post a ton of recipes, and I post about my aerial. I post about kickboxing. If anything, there's some super good healthy recipes on there. So, but that's it. I'm just trying to get myself out there, trying to, just kind of help other people. And it's my journey, and I'm willing to share it with you. So if you would like to follow me, go ahead. No, that's totally cool too.
Oh, well, thank you so much. You've been so great, and you've really been helpful. And thank you for, really not even holding back and really explaining everything and letting us see what it's really like, to be someone who was born with a disability and understand your perspective. So thanks again.
Thanks, Kate. Bye, guys.
Bye.